Hey boys and girls, we're going to go over how to find your assignment for 05.05 in math, and we'll go over um, one or two problems, and then I'll talk you through how to do the rest of the worksheet. So I'm going to go ahead and go into our math course, and we're going to go to Module 5, Lesson 04.05, and like I always say, you want to make sure you go through the lesson page by page, looking at all of the examples. So this is a 6-page lesson. The first page just goes over the objectives, what you're going to be learning in the lesson, and then it gets right into examples. Now it starts very simple by doing 3,024 divided by 7 using partial quotients. Now it's going to walk you through this first example, all the different steps that you need to follow. Make sure you start with this one because you want to make sure you understand this first example in order to do the other examples on pages 3 and 4. Because on pages 3 and 4, you're going to get into a little bit more difficult division problems because it's going to be a number divided by a 2-digit number. So, and that's the same thing with your worksheet. You're going to be solving a 4-digit number divided by a 2-digit number. So what I mean by that is on page 2, this first example starts off very simple. So make sure you start by looking at that first example. Then it gets a little bit more trickier because instead of dividing it by a single number, you're going to be dividing by a double-digit number. So on page 3, you'll come across that first example where you've got a 4-digit number divided by a double-digit number. Same type of steps as that you'll see on that first problem. You'll have the same type of steps here, but you're just working with a bigger number. And it goes through all the different steps for each of the examples. Okay? And I'm going to go through the steps with you when we get onto the worksheet. You've got try it activities. And then on the last page, well, page 5, you've got your lesson summary. And then on page 5 or page 6, you'll come to your assignment, which is digital quotients. So I'm going to open that up. And you'll notice that this is a 1-page assignment that is 5 questions. Number 1, 2, and 3, you are solving these math equations, these division problems using the partial quotient strategy. So you must use this strategy to get credit for this assignment, and I'm going to walk you through how to use this strategy called partial quotients. And it's also the strategy that's in the lesson. So you want to make sure that you go through the lesson first, take notes, follow along, and then you'll see another example when we do this worksheet together in just a moment. So that's what you're doing for 1, 2, and 3, is you are solving these division problems using the strategy of partial quotients. Number 4, you are matching these answer choices with the correct expression. So what does 4,347 divided by 21 equal? It's going to be one of these answer choices. And you're going to do that for each of these problems. You're going to solve each of these problems and match it with the correct value, which means answer. We'll talk about number 5 in just a moment. So before I talk about number 5, let's do one of these example problems. So I'm going to do number 1 for you. You're going to use number 1 along with the models in the lesson to help you with 2, 3, and 4. And then we'll talk about number 5 after I do my modeling. So I'm going to go ahead and screenshot number 1. Make this a lot bigger for us. And kind of like the assignment before where on lesson 05.03, when you had a worksheet, you might want to use a separate piece of paper to do your work. It's not a lot of room on the worksheet, so take a moment, pause the video, grab some scratch paper to complete your work, and you'll just want to make sure that you submit the worksheet and your work, the sheet that you do your work on. All right, so now that you have your sheet where you're going to do your work, we're going to start by looking at number 1, which is 8,397 divided by 27. Now, to use the partial quotient strategy, the first thing we're going to do is we are going to find multiplication facts that we can do mentally So we're going to look at our number that is our divisor, which is 27. And we are going to write down our multiplication facts for 27. Now we're not going to write them out from 1 through 100. We're going to pull out the simple ones that we can do mentally. You can use these numbers for all the other problems as well. Our numbers that are easy for us to do mentally are 2, 5, 10, 20, 50, and 100. So these are the numbers that you can use for every single problem. 2, 5, 10, 20, 50, 100. These are numbers that are going to help us multiply easily. Okay, so I'm going to start by doing 2, and we're going to use our divisor. So 2 times 27. 2 times 27, well, that's easy just doing 27 plus 27. When I do 27 plus 27, I get 54. And if you have to write it out, that's fine. If you need to do 27 plus 27 or 27 times 2 to solve it, that's fine. I can do that part in my head. But our next one, 27 times 5, that's a little bit trickier to do in my head, honestly. So there's nothing wrong with going to the side of your paper and doing the math on the side. 27 times 5. 5 times 7 is 35. Put my 5 down, carry my 3. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 3 is 13. So 27 times 5 is 135. Simple as that. So if it's something that you don't know at the top of your head, that's totally fine. 10 times 27. I know I just put a 0 at the end, so that's 270. 20 times 27. Well, if I know that 2 times 27, right? 2 times 27 we have written at the top is 54. Well, 20, which has a 0 at the end, 20 times 27 would just be 540. Put a 0 at the end. 50 times 27, if I know that 27 times 5 is 135 or 135, right? 5 times 27 is 135. Then 50 times 27, just put a 0 at the end, 1,350. And then 100 times 27, the power of 10 here. So 27 times 1 is 27. And then we got 2 zeros, 2,700. So we're going to use these mental math facts to now help us solve our division problem. So that's how you're going to start each problem. Use these numbers, 2, 5, 10, 20, 50, 100, and times them all by your divisor. In this case, it's 27, and number 2, it's 18, and number 3, it's 14. And then you're going to use the answers to these problems to help you with the division. And I'm going to show you how that happens now. So the next step, I'll choose a different color here. The next step is to write out the division problem. So 8,397 divided by 27. Okay, so we've got that division problem. And now that's like a huge division problem to do out mentally or long division. We're going to use these facts, these math facts, to help us solve this problem. So I'm going to look at our answers: 54, 135, 270, 540, 1,350, 2,700. I'm going to choose one of these that's closest to 8,397. The closest number here is when we did 100 times 27 and we got 2,700. That's the closest we can get to 8,397. It's still pretty far away, but it's close enough, right? It's closer than all the other numbers. So what you do is you take the number that you're going to use, 2,700, and you're going to write it under the dividend, which is 8,397. Okay, now that's not the only thing that you do. I'm going to choose a different color so it stands out. After you write the answer, which is 2,700, you have to write the math fact out on the side here. 100 times 27. Okay, so that's going to be important because that's what's going to help us get our final answer. So all I did here is I looked at which math fact is going to get us closest to 8,397. And we decided that 100 times 27, which is 2,700, gets us close to 8,397 compared to all the other facts. And all we did is we wrote down the answer, 2,700, underneath our dividend, 8,397. But we have to write the math fact out on the side here because this is where we're going to get our final answer at the end. And you'll see when I show you. All right, so there's the next step. Now we move on. Let me go back to blue. Now I need to find, oh, I'm sorry. We need to subtract. I apologize. So now I'm going to subtract. 7 minus 0 is 7. 9 minus 0 is 9. I can't do 3 minus 7, so I'm going to borrow from the 8. 8 turns to a 7. Bring over 10. 13 minus 7 is 6. And 7 minus 2 is 5. Okay, so now I'm looking at 5,697. Now I go back to finding a fact, a math fact that gets me close to 5,697. So I'm going to look at my list of facts, my answers, and what answer gets me close to 5,697? Well, the closest one is 100 times 27, which is 2,700. So I'm going to use that fact again, and that's totally fine. So like we did before, we write out the number, the answer, 2,700, writing out the answer of the math fact. And we have to remember to write the actual math fact out on the side here, making sure we line it up. So 100 times 27. We're using that one again, and that's totally fine. Then I subtract again. It's very repetitive here. 7 minus 0 is 7. 9 minus 0 is 9. I can't do 6 minus 7, so I'm going to borrow. 6 minus 7 is, make sure I'm doing this right here, guys. I'm sorry. 16 minus 7 is 9. And 4 minus 2 is 2. So now I'm left with 2,997. Perfect. I'm going to repeat. I'm going to come back to my list of facts, and I'm going to see what answer gets me close to 2,997. Well, guess what we're going to use again? 100 times 27, which is 2,700, is going to get me the closest to 2,997. So like I've been doing, I'm going to put my answer to the math fact down, 2,700, and we will subtract in just a moment. But before we subtract, I want to make sure you don't want to forget this part because this is where we're going to get our answer. We're going to write out that math fact. We used 100 times 27, and then I'm going to subtract 7, 9. 9 minus 7 is 2. So now I'm at 297. Oh, so we're going to end up having to use a different math fact here because now we're at 297. So I need to look at my list of answers here and what can I use to get me closest to 297 without going over. So, 10 times 27 is 270. That's really close. So we're going to use that. I'm going to put the answer to the math fact down, 270. And I'm going to subtract. And 7 minus 0 is 7. 9 minus 7 is 2. And now I'm at 27. But remember, before we do that, and I messed up. I've got the right answer, but before I subtracted, I was supposed to put what we used. We used 10 times 27. That would have gotten us the wrong answer if I didn't write that down. So that's important. I'm glad I forgot to put that there so I could show you. You have to have that math fact down once you write down the answer, because this is where we're going to get our answer, our final answer. All right, we're still not at 0 though. So I'm going to continue on. I need 0 at the end here to know that I'm done. So now I'm at 27. Well, I've got 54, 135, 270, 540, 1,350, 2,700. I don't see 27 on here, but 27 is the number that we're working with. It's our divisor. So I could do 1 times 27, and that's 27. So that's another one you could add. And that's what's going to help us here. So I'm going to use 27, and I know that that's 1 times 27. That's our math problem here. Okay. And then I'm going to subtract. 27 minus 27 is 0. Now that I'm at 0, I'm done. But my answer is not 0. If I do 8,397 divided by 27, you're not going to get 0. You shouldn't get 0. Now what you do is you take these numbers right here, not the 27s. We're just looking at these numbers, 100, 100, 110, and 1. And we're going to add them. 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 1 is 1. 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 1 is 1. 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3. So 100 plus 100 plus 100 plus 10 plus 1 is 311. And guess what the answer is? Guess what the quotient is for 8,397 divided by 27 is 311. So this is using partial quotients to solve division problems. Now, I could easily check my answer here. I could do 311 times our dividend. I'm sorry, not our dividend, our divisor, which is 27. And I can multiply this out. 7 times 1 is 7. 7 times 1 is 7. 7 times 3 is 21. Put my 0. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 3 is 6. And when I add these two numbers, I should get 8,397. So 7 plus 0 is 7. 7 plus 2 is 9. 2 plus 1 is 3. And 2 plus 6 is 8. 8,397. We have the right answer. So 311 is correct. So this is how you use partial quotients to solve division problems. It's a lot of steps. I understand that. So that's why you want to make sure you have scratch paper to do your work so you have enough room. All right, so you're going to do the same thing for 2, 3, and 4. Okay, 2, 3, and 4, same type of problem. Okay, you're using partial quotients to solve the problems. Number 5, I'm going to screenshot this. Number 5, you've got a word problem. Ava makes bead necklaces. She has a total of 6,048 beads. Each necklace has 24 beads. Her friend Maria says that the greatest number of necklaces she can make with the bead is 162. Maria's work is shown here. So you see the work that she's done for the math problem of 6,048 divided by 24. Explain why Maria's answer is incorrect and how she can find the correct answer. Now, Maria is wrong. When she got 162, that is incorrect. You have to figure out where she went wrong. So actually pretend that you're the teacher. You have to check her work. Where did she go wrong? Now, as a teacher myself, when I check your work and it's a math problem, I usually end up solving the problem myself to see where you went wrong. So that's what I would suggest doing. You solved this problem of 6,048 divided by 24. You solved that problem using partial quotients like I've showed you. And then compare what you do to what she got. I will give you a hint though. I will show you where her mistake is, but you'll have to figure out what the mistake actually is. Like, I'll show you where about it is, but you have to figure out how to fix it. So I'll tell you the mistake is right around here. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to solve this and see how that part that I've circled is wrong and how to fix it. What should that be? Okay, and then you'd explain that in the lines here below. You'd explain why she's incorrect and how you would fix her answer. All right, so that's how you do number 5. It's a long worksheet, boys and girls. You're going to have to persevere, stay focused, use the buzz lesson, use this video to help you complete this worksheet. When you're done, you'll go back to your math lesson. You'll go to the next activity tab. You'll have a blue plus button where you can attach your work. Let me know if you have any questions.